Hi, Rohit.
Hi. Yeah. Yeah. So good evening, everybody. So we are now starting the last session for the evening, and it has been an eventful day. So this webinar is titled "Striking Back Post COVID-19." I think COVID-19 as a phenomena is termed as a black swan event uh, in terms of the predictability, because it's technically impossible to predict such events due to its extreme rarity. This event has impacted governments, businesses with unprecedented disruption. And it has also had profound impact on businesses globally. So typically, if you look at, there are, a demand side impact and a supply side impact to this entire crisis. The supply side impact has been, partial or, full lockdown of factories. There is a supply chain disruption that has happened, is cash flow stress, and there are, labor shortage. So these are all crises which are now on the supply side. And I would like to add that there is also a demand side crisis, which is very nicely put up by the BCG Facebook report, which said the top three things on a consumer's mind today is, how is health and hygiene, which was not earlier. And we as Indians were very low on health and hygiene. So currently, health and hygiene is taken a critical number one step there. And also social distancing as a norm is now going to be a way of life, at least for a few months from now. And the third one, and the most critical one, is income uncertainty. How do I actually look at, be it, if you look at corporates, there are a lot of layoffs, salary cuts, etc., that are happening. Businesses are not happening. So entrepreneurs are struggling. Then you have the farmers, laborers, the farm producers are not reaching metro cities, etc., etc. So there is this entire crisis that is there at the income level also. So, not sounding very negative about it, but I think those are the challenges. And as entrepreneurs and small businesses, we have to take these challenges head on. And hence, to answer these questions, I now like to introduce Mr. Nitin Poddar, who is the senior corporate lawyer and merger and acquisition partner at J. Sagar Associates, which is a top law firm. He brings with him a wealth of experience in niche areas like mergers and acquisition, foreign direct investments, joint ventures. He is also a founder trustee of Maxwell Foundation, which is celebrates Maharashtra's Corporate Excellence Awards to inspire next generation entrepreneurs in Maharashtra. Recently, and very interestingly, he's launched India Power Talks webinar series in association with Indian Chamber of Commerce and Law Seco, wherein international leaders are invited to speak on how India can revive its growth story. I think you should always look up, and that's a very interesting video series that he has started. So without taking much of your time, over to you, Mr. Nitin Poddar.
Thank you, Rohit. And thanks for all the audience for being there since morning, I guess. Good afternoon to all of you. And I must congratulate all of you, those who are participating, and all the, whether they are participating here or not, but all the MSME, segment, in the entire MSME segment, I must congratulate them for having being in part of the MSME whole segment, and being part of the mainstream backbone of the Indian economy, I must say. I was participating in one of the seminars today in the morning, and when the MSME minister mentioned that roughly 48% of 28% of the GDP comes from MSME, and 48% exports comes from the MSME sector. So to my mind, the entire export sector is dominated by MSME. MSME are the largest employers of the country, if I may say so. But before that, Rohit, I must really congratulate you for setting up this India SME Accelerator Network. It's a phenomenal job that you are doing.
Thank you very much.
I know for a fact your dedication and your hard work, you and Shalini both and your entire team, how dedicatedly you all have been working and pursuing this accelerator network. And I'm sure about the fact that, look, very soon you will emerge as the best accelerator network for India and also maybe globally. because
Thank you
I
very much.
understand that you have collaborated with a couple of other SME and MSME segments from SAARC countries.
Sure. Yeah.
So I am sure about the fact that you have rich experience of handling this segment, and also rich experience of understanding the questions and issues that MSME typically faces. So my congratulations to you for putting up this fantastic show in the shortest possible time. And my all best wishes are to you and to all your members, Rohit.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah.
And upfront, I must commit myself that whenever your network requires me, or from my network any individual or whatever in capacity, I will be very willing to come and participate for the members.
Thank you.
Okay. Now how do I upload this one? Let me share the screen.
Yeah. You just have to share the screen.
Okay. Is it visible now?
Yeah. Just get a full screen. Yeah. It's visible.
Okay. Is it good enough?
Yeah.
Okay. So friends, I am going to be, I know, since morning you must be into this whole sessions. So quickly, if I may, can I ask some few questions right at the beginning to a couple of people? You see if you can respond. One is the two segments, the entire MSME segment. I would like to just get a feel of what people feel, what the members here feel. One is one segment who have lost revenue, complete revenue, and they're struggling to get back to the revenue. And another segment would be they are still in the revenue mode, and they're struggling, but they are still in the revenue mode. I guess we'll have to divide the MSME into these two groups. Now I don't know the percentage of that, but largely I think the MSME segment is widely divided into these two groups. So before we really I dwell on the subject as such, and what could MSME do to strike back post COVID. Let us understand where are we now today, as of today. I have been reading extensively on the McKinsey reports on the pandemic and business restructuring. I'm also privy to a lot of other reports and other discussions that are happening globally. My sense is that, and I'm sure you must also be experiencing, my gut feeling is we don't know first of all whether the worst is over. We are every day the WHO directors come on the television, on the interviews, and they say that, look, this is worse, this is not over, this is over, this is not over. So honestly, I'm not sure whether the worst is over as far as coronavirus is concerned. So so therefore we can't really predict, and there is tremendous amount of loss of confidence among the people that I'm seeing, and that can only go, Rohit, I guess, is only when there's an announcement of a vaccine, whether the vaccine comes or not. Even if the announcement of vaccine that yes, there is something which is available and which can restrict or which can fight out the coronavirus, I guess people's confidence will come back. Otherwise, there's a tremendous amount of loss of confidence among the people. I mean, whenever we just go out of the house, it's so scary that you are scared to even touch anything, outside your house. So I think there is loss of confidence, and this can only be gained by some announcement from the medical field. Whilst saying that, medical field or the medical solution we may get, but the economic solution for the slash that we have got on the economic front, I'm not sure whether we will be able to find a formidable solution so easily. Western world is a different situation altogether, because they are full of resources. They are a different ballgame altogether. When it comes to India, I'm not sure whether how fast and how quick we'll be able to restore back on the economic front. I was simply analyzing the situation, and I was yesterday talking to a very senior economist on this, and he made a very interesting comment, and I would love to share with all our MSME people here. And he said that, look, let us divide the Indian demography into three parts. One is a very rich people, very rich, extremely rich, and their businesses are doing well, or even if their businesses are not doing well, they won't be affected, because they will be able to pivot, they will be able to do a lot of restructuring among themselves, and they'll still sustain where they are. The second category is the lower income, absolutely lower income. I'm coming to the middle class afterwards. The complete lower middle class, or the people who earn their daily wages, and they survive somehow on the daily basis. Now, those people, to my mind, will be the worst hit people, really worst hit. And these people are very large in number. But what will they do? They will pivot themselves. Some people will just do some meager jobs. They'll fall down from this. Like yesterday on one of the television channels, some artisans were actually doing the job of carrying the goods. I mean, they came into logistics field from a highly skilled labor. They have now shifted downwards wherever there is a need. So they may tweak and they may do, but that is a very worst, badly hit segment, to my mind. Coming to the middle class, which amounts to a large section of Indian society, the middle class or the higher middle class people, I would say, what will they do? Probably they will cut down on their expenditure. They'll just cut down the expenditure. They won't go for hoteling. They won't go for travel. They won't buy luxury items. So this is how they are going to pivot themselves, and they are going to sustain themselves. Now, this is the view of an economist who mentioned that, look, forget the government package and forget the state government package or the local packages or bank packages. This is actually what is going to happen. People are going to do this. Now, coming back to I'm going to why I'm giving this background, because at a later stage I want some action to be taken by the MSME with regard to these segments. Therefore, and I'm just trying to give some background of this segment. Let's come to the business segment. To my mind, in the business segment, consumer, healthcare, IT, logistics would gain quickly. These are the segments which are very much in right now. Also, they are very much in demand, and this will improve, if at all, if from the current levels. So I see huge improvement in the consumer segment, healthcare segment, IT segment. IT segment is going to really boom, because we all are now hanged on to computers virtually. Our screen time has gone up to like 6-7 hours a day virtually, and for all members of a family, the screen time has gone up. So therefore, IT is going to really once again boom, and all the MSME who are on the IT front, trust me, they will have fantastic days ahead of life. Logistics, I am seeing again, it is not just the high-end logistic, but even the local door-to-door. Yesterday, I would like to give a very interesting example. Yesterday, we got grocery from Swiggy. Swiggy is known only for delivering the restaurant, connecting between restaurants and people. But Swiggy yesterday, I got a call from my grocery shop, and they said, look, we have tied up with Swiggy. So if at all you have got anything, you please tied up, and we can get things from on Swiggy. So that's going to happen. Travel, tourism, and real estate. Travel and tourism particularly may really take a bad hitting. Really, it will be that segment is going to be badly hit segment, unless, again, I was talking to a very large tourism company last week, because of their problems, which they received a lot of bookings in the last 2-3 months, and there's a lot of huge refund being they have to make. So they were talking to me on this, and they felt that next 2 years, even if we may offer rejigging of their bookings for people, but people are not going to come out of homes and really go and enjoy tourism. So travel, tourism, and real estate. Real estate, again, we'll have to divide it two. One is the high end, and one is the affordable. Affordable may still do very well, but high end real estate may take make some backseat. Luxury spending is not going to happen for another 6-7 months or 8 months at least, unless it is very much required for, typically, people will want to for their marriages or for some functions, if they want to buy something. Otherwise, casual luxury buying is not going to happen. Now, this is the broad picture which I see. Now, are there any statistics available? There is no statistics available to support what I am saying here. These are the trends which we have picked up from the McKinsey report or from other reports. Now, again, these are visible trends. It is not as these trends are not visible. So these are the generic trends which are seen in the last 3 months, and we'll have to really wait and watch in the next 2 months how the things pan out, how we are able to face the opening of the second lockdown, rather the lockdown, and see how it really how people are able to adjust themselves, how people are able to take it forward. Now, so what is today? When you look at MSME segment as such, it's like if you recollect, we had a story when we were small in schools of an elephant. There are 6 people touching elephant, and nobody knows what that animal is. So if the person touching a tail says that, look, this sounds like a rope. The person touching the pillar of the foot says that these are like a huge pillar. So MSME, according to me, is like an elephant. Nobody really knows what kind of animal this is, but this is a big animal. This is a huge animal. It's expanding, and all the startups world today, or the SME, today's SME were yesterday's MSME. Today's mid-segment companies were yesterday's SME, and previously they were MSME. So this is a journey to my mind. Now let us understand the overall broad problems of the MSME. There is lack of capital. Let's understand there is lack of capital, and it is not the situation only today. This situation has been prevailing for every SME and across the board. There is a lack of capital. They don't have capital for expansion, nor do they have capital for as a working capital. So this problem they face every day. Secondly, they are working with basic technologies. Okay, this is again a big bottleneck for their expansion or for their scaling up. So my request is, please look into your organization. What is the technology that you are working, and what's the improvement that we can do? Nobody has a blockbuster product or a brand as on today. I'm not talking of what will happen 5 years down the line. You may become a huge brand, but today, as on today, you don't have a blockbuster brand or a product with you. You have a solution, you have a product, you have a service segment, but that's not blockbuster. You are facing a fierce competition across the globe. Fifthly, geographically, you are in limited locations. You are not expanding because of XYZ reason, because you may not capital, lack of technology, not brand marketing. So I am again telling you, the points I'm making is this is a fact sheet of our MSME today. Geographically limited location, lack of manpower. That's again a serious issue with our MSMEs. They really lack huge and good manpower because their ability to pay is not that great. And lack of financial records and planning. This is the most challenging factor. Therefore, I have put it as the last. Please note down the lack of financial records or financial planning is the biggest hurdle. Biggest hurdle which our MSME is facing today, and that is why they are not able to really, push themselves into the right direction what they want. Now, this is the broad, I would say, factual matrix of any MSME, and whether it is in India or across the globe, and whether you are in manufacturing or whether it's service sector, or whether you are a franchisee of someone, whatever nature of work that you are doing, you will be, I would say, out of 7, almost you would be suffering from 4 to 5 of these key elements, and that's the nature of MSME. That's the whole character of an MSME, that you will not have basic technology, you will not have blockbuster product. Now these are the factual situation, and the point of me putting this across is, and Rohit, please stop me if I'm repeating anything since morning. If any of the points if you see that I'm repeating, just stop me. I'll quickly go ahead. Okay. There's no point in repeating certain things which if other speakers have covered it. The point I am making is that these are, listen to me carefully, friends. These are, whilst I say these are the factual matrix of any MSME today, to me these are also your strengths. Why I'm saying these are the strengths? Because this is where you will be able to attract good partners. This is where you will be able to really collaborate with someone very meaningfully, because you are short somewhere. Now, how do we, instead of stating, I would say, repenting upon our shortfalls, I would say we need to convert our shortfalls or convert our shortcomings into our strengths. How do we do that? These are the areas where we can collaborate. Instead of spending money on which is non-core to you, I would suggest any of these items which is non-core to you, we must collaborate with someone and try to get a very strong partner, and that is where the strength comes. So, to my mind, this may be your factual position, but friends, trust me, if you go to the history, and my request will be, please Google any top company today, the top 100 Fortune 500 companies. Go back to their history, go back to their origin, and you will find that they were also exactly the same, they were exactly the same with the same factual matrix that you are today. Apple was started in a garage. I don't need to mention this. That's the classic example. Facebook was started from a classroom, and you are seeing where Apple and Facebook are today. So the point I'm making is here is that MSME, you will find these are the very basic factual metrics, and across the board these factual metrics are there. Now, MSME largely are into service industries. Largely, I would say, I don't see in terms of percentage, particularly with the advent of information technology, I am seeing that the MSMEs are largely into service industry because of obvious reasons, because of the information technology. The support that you get from information technology really makes you work in the service sector. You are the people who are in manufacturing, they are on contract basis, probably. Again, there are large MSME I see who are on contract manufacturing basis, supplying products to the other companies. Small products without huge markets. I see a lot of MSME working in a smaller pockets like Surat, Indore, Maharashtra, Satara, Sangli, Indore, Madhya Pradesh. These are small places. Marketing products, services owned by third parties. Some people are marketing products. So these are into their service lines. I'm talking of the business models. What they are into service, largely service industry. They are manufacturing on a contract basis, whether it is pharma product or chemical product or whatever, or textiles or whatever that is. Small products without huge marketing capabilities, and marketing products or services. So these are the. Now, if you see the last slide and this slide, the purpose of me mentioning this is your factual matrix, and you should not feel shy about accepting that, yes, this is my factual matrix. Now, three things. I would like you to focus on 4 C's as on today. The first thing, if you want to strike back post COVID-19, you will need to focus on these 4 C's what I mentioned. Please underline these 4 C's. The first is customer. All this time we used to say cash is the king. I'm saying no, customer is the king. Absolutely, customer is the king. Even if you have one customer, you need to hold on to that customer. The first and foremost thing what you will have to do as an MSME is please get back to all your customers, whether you are in service industry, manufacturing, or whoever. It is the customer who is the king for you. Why are you manufacturing? Rohit, again, last week I was talking to a group in UK about customer centric businesses, and I said while discussing and while analyzing the business model, I said the entire business model of any company, whether small, large, mid-size, whatever, around which element the business revolve around. The entire world revolves around only one element, that is customer. Firstly, you are making the product for whom? You are making your products or services for the customer. You are making how will you price the product? You will price the product which is affordable to the customer. How will you modify the product based on the preferences of the customer? How would you deliver the product depending upon the need of the customer? How much quantity would you supply to the customer as per the customer's orders? Modification, improvement, new services, new product, old product, anything that we do across the board, across the globe, is all revolves around this one whole C called as customer. Trust me, if you have a fantastic organization, just taste this logic. If you have an outstanding and fantastic organization, and delivering an outstanding product, but if you don't have a customer, what is the use of that organization? What's the use of your mission statement, or your high class product, high class employees, your salary, your finances, your technology? Everything is meaningless. The entire organization, business, the word business stands on only one element, and that is customer. So my request is, please write down in your mind, in your organization, please drill down to all your employees that look, our customer is the king. And exactly what happens is, exactly what do we do at times? And I was I was trying to search that statistics, Rohit, for our audience, but I don't have the audience. But roughly, and you will be surprised to note, roughly around 23 or 24% people end up in arguing and fighting with the customers.
True.
Can we really, can we in our wildest dream even think of arguing or fighting with our customer? Forget fighting. Can you even think of arguing with our customer? Can we argue with the person who is buying our services and paying us? Today, the whole our entire world is dependent upon the customer who is buying our products or services and paying the money for us. If he doesn't pay, the entire thing collapses. So to my mind, customer is the king. And I did a fantastic research last week when I was talking to this UK group, and we were talking of consumer or customer experience. And in that, there was a fantastic story, and I would really trust, honestly request, out of this entire presentation of mine of 30-35 minutes, even if you take back this one suggestion from me, I think it's still worth the whole my presentation is, please go and find out the customer relation services or the customer related activity which Disney follows. Please go and see how, to what extent Disney goes to really please and satisfy their customers. I can tell you only one simple and classic example. There are 2-3 examples which I would really love to give. I don't mind cutting down my other sections, but this is very critical. How do you really, particularly in this time, why customer is important? How much people really go all out to please the customer? In Disney, I'm sure many of you must have visited Disney, but just for the sake of those who may not have had the opportunity to go to Disney, as soon as you enter there's a bar which allows you entry according to your height. Now, if for any reason any member of your family is slightly above that bar, and if he is not allowed the entry, what happens to the other members who have passed on that bar of height? So will the family is required to wait for that one person? Answer is no. The Disney people are instructed that as soon as you see a family where the height is up and down and they are unable to go enter because of the height bar, they immediately take that family aside, allow everyone to get inside. That's number one. And without mentioning anything, without asking, there is no one who needs to ask anything. The minute they see a family not entering according to height, they immediately push them. The second most important thing is, the minute they see any disabled person, disability in any count, immediately the volunteers over there, they don't ask as to whether you need support or not. This question is not asked. They will volunteer themselves and make sure that that person is helped all throughout the day, and he is able to enjoy all their rights. Now they go to that extent, and every time the staff over there Disney is constantly trained to see what is abnormal things happening, how customer behaves, what is the customer preferences, what is making customers happy. They conducted a small survey, and they found out that after every 30 meters, you need to throw something. That's the statistics that they collected. So the dustbins which are arranged in Disney is arranged in such a way that at every 30 meters you will find a dustbin. Now they go to that extent of pleasing the customers. So the point I'm making is, that customer is really the king in today's time. I heard a fantastic statement yesterday from a very senior person from United Nations on financing of MSME. He said, why do you need financing from banks? Your first financer should be your customer. Yeah. If your customer is financing your products, trust me, you cannot have a better financing than customer financing. Because what happens is, just take a situation where the customer is just paying you 10% of your product that you're selling. What have you secured? You have not secured the money, but you have secured the sale of your product. So I would say, even if a bank is giving you 100% financing, 100% financing from a bank versus 10% financing from a customer is much more valuable to me, because you have secured a customer. So my first request is, after this session is over, first get down to your laptop or computer, identify all your customers who are, and there is nothing like critical or important or loose customer. No, all customers has to be same. All customers, you place them on a same pedestal. That's number one. Okay. Number two, cash is critical. You may have a limited cash. You need to plan out, how do I use my cash in the next 4 to 5 months or 6 months. This pandemic is going to be there for some time. So we need to really plan out the cash. Monitor and observe your competition. You need to have a complete close watch on your competition. You have to have complete watch on your competition. What are they doing? And collaboration. You need to collaborate with the customer. You need to collaborate with your competition. You need to collaborate with your vendors. And I'm going to come on the next slide. Is the one mantra which I'm going to give today to strike back COVID-19 is your ability to collaborate. It will decide your future. So 4 C's, recollect: customer is king, cash, competition, and collaborations. Now, the quick things which you need to do today, these are all things we need to do today. Adopt technology and digitize fully. I know for a fact there are still a lot of MSME, they are not digitized. Rohit, I will be surprised, some of the people are telling me that we can supply our goods, but we can't raise invoices because we don't have systems to raise invoice. We are not fully computerized. We are not integrated to our bank system, so we can't receive payments. Now, I can't believe this. In today's world, when you can give services, but you can't receive payment because your bank is not integrated with the payment gateway and that kind of stuff. Now, you need to, therefore, to my mind, digitize and adopt technology. And again, it is not difficult at all. Just get to any small IT vendor and sit with him, understand how far can you digitize, what is the technology you can deploy, and raising invoices, ability to take money on net payment. These are the very basic things. Ability to send your profiles, ability to send your products. All these things has to be digitized and use technology to the extent possible. Quickly modify your business model. Again, the classic example which I experienced personally yesterday was of Swiggy. Swiggy, as you and me know, they are only into food delivery chain. They have quickly switched into delivery of groceries from the grocery shop. That's the agility that you need to show.
I think they tied up with ITC and even Nature's Basket, etc. Also.
Swiggy?
Yeah.
So your ability to tweak the business model is extremely critical. And this is again very important. Identify alternate source of revenue. This is very important, Rohit, according to me. MSMEs, because you never know. I always believe that even if your one source of income or revenue is going on, I would strongly support you need to identify and keep watch on what is the alternate sort of revenue that I can have. You need to always keep eye on that. And that's where when I'm saying you quickly modify the business model, that's the purpose of saying is that modify to keep and identify and keep an alternate source of revenue model ready for your business. You need to do that. See, you are not in services you will only get a salary. Because you adopted a model of business, you need to have alternate source of revenue also. Collaborate with your, this is what I mentioned in the previous slide. Collaborate with your customers, vendors, even with your competitors. The word competition, according to me, in my dictionary, there is no word like competition. I don't treat my competitor as competitor. I treat them as my collaborator because I learn from them. If the minute I see a product which is benchmarked in a better way, is that not teaching to me? Is that not a learnings for me as to how should I improve my product? So to my mind, even if all your competitors, treat them as your collaborators because they are teaching you how should you provide services, how should you manufacture, how should you deliver, and you are able to set your own benchmark because of your collaboration. Who sets your benchmark otherwise? Nobody sets your benchmark. Then invent an innovative model of delivery. You need today this is a complete new requirement which pandemic has thrown to us. We need to adopt a different method of delivery. See, fortunately for us, for service industry, people like me, I am a lawyer. I can go on a Zoom call and deliver my advice, or I can put my email. So we from physical meetings we have shifted to Zoom meetings. So our delivery chain, methods of delivery, all the professors, all the educational institutions have moved now from physical meetings, physical teachings to the digital meetings and digital teachings. Now, this is where it was easy for us. Probably for consultants it's easy, but this may not be easy for manufacturers, for other service industries. So you need to find out what's the better way of the delivery of your product. The last most important thing is identification of new markets. I'll tell you again, Rohit, I have seen this happening, and I don't know why are we not really. See, the problem is MSMEs have their own set of huge problems. I understand, but that should not stop you from out of box thinking. Let me give you a classic example. If you are in a translation business, just take a classic example. I know for a fact there are a lot of people who are in a business of translation. They translate English to Marathi, English to Hindi, Hindi to Marathi, all Indian languages. There are also translation companies which translates into foreign languages. Okay, but go and check their website. Their website is available only in English. Now, if your website is available to only in English language, whereas you can translate probably a document from English to German or English to Japanese or English to Spanish, but because your website and because your business model that you have developed is only English to all the multiple languages, you are not able to cater to the customers of the other country. Now, if you look at most of the websites of German companies, of Japanese companies, they are into their own language, German language. But on the top, you will see, you will be able to change the language of the whole website into whatever language you want. Why can't Indian companies, Indian MSMEs, have all their websites convertible into multiple languages? Now, why only translation? Just take an example of simple classic example is if you are manufacturing, see this notebook, simple notebook. If you are manufacturing a simple notebook and your website, say for example, is in multiple languages, it is possible that a Japanese company may buy that very same notebook from you because of the cost pricing, because of easy pricing. The markets are here. And fortunately, the information technology allows you to automatically, Google allows you to automatically translate your whole product range, all profiles into multiple languages. How many service industry websites are in multiple languages? If you do survey, Rohit, I'll trust me, I'll tell you, not even 1% of Indian companies are into multiple languages. They are just not done it. So my request is, if you need to go to different markets, you need to find other markets. But for that purpose, technology has allowed you free of cost, multiplying your language, you could do that. The last point is empower your people. You can't hold on to decisions. You need to empower your people, give them free hand. Tomorrow's leaders, to bring the tomorrow's leaders on action today. Don't wait for tomorrow. All those who, if you identify that you have potential leaders in our organizations, bring them in action today, empower them today itself. All the points that I have mentioned, digitizing fully. In fact, one of my friends always says very, very, jokingly, he says, either digitize or die. So whether digitization, different business models, source of revenue, all this, all the points that I have mentioned, this is so easy to gather and so easy to follow, provided you really want to do that. You may have put many of the stuff here as plan B or plan C. No, my friends, your plan B and plan C has to be plan A now. You may have thought of, okay, source of, I will think of collaborating with my customers or vendors as plan B. No, that should be your plan A today. All the items which you, from the list that I mentioned, any of the items, if you have put as plan B or plan C, bring them on as plan A. You cannot afford to have even spend 2 minutes. Therefore, I said, do it today. It is not tomorrow's agenda. It has to be today's agenda. In fact, this is yesterday's agenda. Very technically speaking, these are all yesterday's agenda. Technology, can you say no? I'll adopt technology from today. No, you had to have technology from yesterday.
Sure.
Rohit, we should also request our audience to start putting the questions if they are ready.
Yeah. Just requesting everybody to just put your questions. So once we are done, we'll just take the Q&A.
Yeah, because I will be another 10 minutes. I'll be through. So I would like,
Sure.
really want to hear some questions from the audience.
Sure, sure.
Okay, now when I mentioned to you the 7-8 points, these points about collab and the C about collaboration, let me give you as an M&A lawyer and as a lawyer having handled most of the collaborations in the last 26-27 years, a question from our MSME can be, sir, if you're talking of collaborations, what is the simplest method of doing a collaboration? So I am giving you, without coming to me, let me give you a very simplest guideline of entering into a collaboration. The first and foremost thing is identify the key commercial terms which you want to have. Identify the key commercial terms and just put down those commercial terms into a simple in bullet points. But make sure that you comprehensively write the commercial terms and put it into an email and exchange it. That is also good, just good enough. Don't remain or don't keep the discussions vague. Don't keep it on, oh no, verbally we have agreed to do this. No, nothing of that sort. Make both parties sit together, identify the commercial points, simple, plain and simple commercial point. And to my mind, you are the best person. You are only the best person to write the commercial terms. So my request is, just first agree on commercial terms, reduce it to writing and exchange it. Along with the commercial terms, if at all, what is the commercial term? What are you going to sell? What are you going to buy? Or what are the services you are going to exchange with each other? What is the price? What is the price that you are going to agree to pay? And how long you want to continue? Simple. Just these 3 points. What is the commercials? What is the price that is payable? And third and last point is how long you want to continue with that collaboration. These are just 3 simple things. If you just be able to mention in the collaboration in your term sheet, that's just good enough. You don't need huge documentation to reduce the collaboration into action. Of course, before you really sign a document, if it is of long-term nature, if you really feel that this needs some discussion, for example, partnerships, joint ventures, foreign collaborations, you really need to consult. And my request is, yes, there are a lot of consultants available, and more than consultants, information about commercial contracts or commercial joint ventures or foreign collaborations is all available on the net. Just first get acquainted with what kind of documentation you are entering into and enter. See, there is no harm in entering into foreign collaboration. You cannot sustain or survive without a collaboration today. You cannot. Gone are those days where you will say, look, I will be the manufacturer. I will set up my own manufacturing. I'll set up my research and development. I will do the brand development. I'll do everything. No, my request is focus on your core competencies. If you focus on your core competency, you may need some people along with you, and it's always better to swim together. And rather, if you want to go fast, go walk singly. But if you want to go long distance, you need to walk with people. Trust and transparency are the key elements to make the joint venture or collaboration successful. These are the very basics of any commercial collaboration, and I am sure you will be able to understand this. Now, this is the last real mantra of success. If you want to strike back COVID-19, you need to find out your position on how do we find our position globally. We go to GPS. What is GPS? Your global positioning system. Now, my formula of global positioning system for every SME is that G stands for you need to have ground intelligence. Get the ground intelligence. Unfortunately, many of us, we don't get facts, figures, and actual data. We talk on perceptions. We talk on hearsay documentation. We talk on hearsay what people are talking. No, you have to have ground intelligence. For ground intelligence, the best partner is Google. Get the ground intelligence, get information. Your decision has to be based on facts and figures, factual metrics, and not on perceptions or not on hearsay things. So you need to have a ground intelligence, number one. Secondly, be prepared for unconventional partnerships. I'm harping the word unconventional. Like I mentioned, Swiggy was known rather for delivering food. They are into now delivering of groceries. That is unconventional partnership. Any grocery shop entering into a partnership with Swiggy is unconventional. No, but we need unconventional partnership. We need. Now, what is Uber? Uber, partnering with Google Map is an unconventional partnership. Airbnb partnering with homes, actual homes, for bringing that inventory of houses into the space of hotel industry is an unconventional partnership. And last one, your ability to provide strategic solution, not just the solution. If you unless you have a ground intelligence, unless you are willing to prepared to have unconventional partnerships, and unless you provide strategic solution, nobody is interested in your product.
Correct.
If you have a strategic product, strategic solution, that is where your success is going to, that is where you are going to really rock on your product. So you should always keep in mind, whatever you are doing is fantastic. The fact that you are into MSME segment itself is a wonderful thing, because you are owner of your own, you are boss of your own. Now you need to work around this. Now you need to really work. And post COVID, unless you are really into this GPS, I really doubt whether you will be able to survive or sustain, because you don't know where is your competition coming. You will never know where your competition is coming. So my request is be grounded on intelligence, ready to unconventional partnerships and strategic solutions. With that, friends, I'm trying to keep my talk very short. I think I've covered most of the points. If you really want to strike, these are the points, and I'm open to discussion on any point that if you have, please.
Sure. Yeah. So few of the questions. One is typically when you said new markets, how do we address so the way to look at it is either you launch a new product or services. So should it be something which is kind of adjacency to your industry or capability, or you are say suppose an interior designer gets into a sanitizer business. So what is your take on that in terms of should it be closer to your competencies, or if you have thought it well, you can get into a completely new business?
Not at all. So Rohit, if you see, I have mentioned 2-3 things. You need to redefine the business model.
Correct.
Which includes you may have to pivot completely on your product portfolio.
Okay.
You may have to enter into completely new segment of service. You suddenly may find yourself. Now, please understand what is Netflix. Netflix is a tech company. Technically, it's a tech company providing entertainment.
Sure.
So you never know in what manner and in what way you will proceed, and where is the hidden opportunity. You just will never know.
Sure. Okay. Fine.
And also about markets, it's completely, you should keep your completely mind open. Today, every businessman, to my mind, have to keep his complete mind open about his assets, what he has got. And he should be able to use these assets the way he want to use it in whichever manner which way is going to give him the business.
Sure. Okay. One more thing was, say there are a lot of MSMEs who are focusing on international markets, which are currently in doldrums. So what is the preparedness and readiness that, or the backend that they could do and wait for the market to open up so that they can fire on full cylinder?
As I mentioned, international market, to my mind, is comparatively easy to penetrate.
Okay.
But the only thing is, unfortunately, what happens is, this is very unfortunate. If you see any businessman in US, when he starts a business in any part of any state of the United States, he says, what is his next plan? His next plan in 2 years is to go into all the states in US. After 2 years, what is his plan? After 2 years, he'll say, look, the next destination for me is Europe.
Okay.
Asia, I have not thought of. He will talk like this. Sure. Whereas any Indian businessman, how will he talk? Say, for example, manufacturer or SME segment from Pune, or say Nagpur, or even Mumbai, we'll say we want to expand it to first the neighboring cities. At best, Maharashtra. Our entrepreneurs are not even willing to look at outside the state. I don't know, somehow we just don't treat the world as one market. Sure. I think maybe also the problem lies with if you see the product category or service categories of the Western world and India and Indian company, MSME particularly, we are not into strategic solutions. I'm making this statement very, very carefully with great responsibility. Most of the MSMEs, they try to find solutions for local problems. And your solutions are such in nature, which inherently has a limitations. So you can't just expand that product outside the world. I mean, outside your geographical area.
Okay.
Now, the simplest way is, let me put it a simple way. The simplest way to handle the situation is, whatever product portfolio that you have got, compare the product portfolio with a global company. Do a Google of who are your competitors, and you will immediately see the difference. An a person who provides IT services and a person who is providing IT services in the US or UK or Japan or Australia, you look at their websites and look at their company profiles, and you will immediately come to know the difference in their approach.
Yeah.
So my request is, all the MSME, SME who aspire to go global, please compare your product with the global competition and see how they are offering their products, or how are they structured globally.
Sure. Okay. So there's a question coming from Rangarao Shinde. How to face competitors for food product pricing?
Food is a fierce competitive price to a product.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me give a classic example. We in Mumbai now, we get fruit baskets from Nasik.
Yeah.
Okay. And this goes back to the customer experience. Today, people are not paying for products. They are paying for customer experience. In Mumbai, I get a fruit basket. I have to just order on phone, and the fruit basket is in plan A, plan B, and plan C. What is plan A? Plan A contains 1 dozen of banana, 1 kg of apples, one watermelon, and some kind of custard. So that package has a very defined products. Now for me, it is very easy because I don't need to go to the market and buy one product. So when I buy this, of course, the quality is extremely important, but it is the customer delivery, customer service that you offer, that is very critical.
Sure.
When you go for a movie, what do? Just take an example of when you decide to go for a movie, what is the first thing you do? First thing, you decide which movie you want to go. And the second thing what you try to find out is which theater you need to go. Because what you feel is that, oh, this theater has good restaurants, this theater has good ambience, it has a good parking space. So what you are buying and what you are paying for is the customer experience. Sure. I am again repeating, Rohit, customer is the king. If you focus on customer experience, I think you are done.
Sure. One more question is, currently most of the MSMEs are facing cash crunch in terms of the payments not coming in, and they have a outstanding and payment to their vendors. So in such case, how do they handle the vendors, or any tips from your end in terms of handling their vendors so that they can have a long-term relation when things improve? But what is the current solution?
Whether it is customer relationship, whether it is vendor relationship, or whether it is banking relationship, all wants only two T's: trust and transparency. Trust me, if you go and tell the vendor in a transparent manner that, look, this is my order book, these are my customers, but I don't have working capital, and I'm having this difficult situation, or with your banker, whoever. If you go with trust, and if you go to them transparently and explain them, I'm sure, see, please understand, everyone wants a business. Why would a vendor not give you? Because he is also supplier of some product for himself.
Sure.
But one point which I guess I captured it, but I would want to really harp upon is, our MSME need to keep their financial documents in a good shape. Today, in the Indian government has announced a working capital enhancement of 30% limit on your existing. And the point is, if you don't have working capital limit itself, that 30% is not available to you. Extra limit is not available to you. And why are you not getting it? Because your financial documents are not ready. Why your financial documents not ready? Because you do transactions in cash. Yeah. If you are in fault, There is no one can help you.
Yeah. So one of the speaker pointed out in the morning that, even the MSME registrations that need to be done is as low as 20% in the sector. So, it's important that people get registered on the portal so that they can avail
Correct.
benefits from the government, which are being released from time to time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. So I think the last question is a softer one in terms of how do you deal with employee motivation and morale, keeping in mind, MSMEs as it is, the employees are not on, higher salaries, and there is a larger issue in terms of retaining and maintaining employee motivation, etc. So in current crisis and situation, how do you handle this?
In one of my slides, I mentioned that tomorrow's leader should be your today's leader. So if you think that any employee has a potential, bring him today itself. Bring and give him confidence that you want to take him in confidence. See, I'll tell you the best way of why many times the leaders take decisions, but the company they are unable to implement it. Why? Because they don't get buy-in from the employees. The simplest way is that you get employees together and take a decision by consensus. The minute you take decision by consensus, there is a buy-in of all the employees, and that's where you are able to implement all the decisions.
Yeah.
And see, also my request will be to MSMEs, take younger boys from colleges, make them interns, because they come at a very comparative low cost. And younger boys will really help you to penetrate into technological advent.
Sure. Okay, I think that was the last question. So thank you very much, Mr. Nitin Poddar. And just like to conclude that one of the key things that you had indicated is collaboration is the way forward. I think all MSMEs need to collectively collaborate. You also spoke on 4 C's, which were, customer. You spent a lot of time on showing that customer is the king, and digitalization. You again and again emphasize that digitalization is the way forward. So I think just to conclude this session, while businesses are currently facing a lot of challenges, I think all entrepreneurs need to be positive and have a growth mindset. I think that's the essence of all this. While you would figure out your markets, while you would figure out what are the newer opportunities, I think it's important to stay positive and continuously look at where are the opportunities are. So I think the common theory of circle of innovation, circle of concern and circle of influence. I think let us not get bogged down with the number of COVID cases increasing. What is the government doing? Is there a lockdown? I think beyond a point, we shouldn't spend much time on that, but largely look at how can I cut down my costs? How can I look at newer opportunities? I think that's where we need to focus on. And there are the new term, which is COVIDpreneurs, are people who are like, around Maharashtra. We've got a lot of mangoes coming in from Ratnagiri and Sindhudurg district, where, the entire thing was coordinated on WhatsApp. Every society ensured that they ordered one tempo of mangoes, helping them out, etc. So it was lower than the market price. So it was a win-win situation for the farmer and for the consumers also. So I think there are many various opportunities like these that we all need to stay positive on. So I think overall, just to conclude the day, I think it's been really a great session celebrating the World MSME Day. And I think I remember statistics by Dun & Bradstreet, which talked about the entire funnel of micro moving to small to medium to large enterprises. So if you analyze that globally, there is a decent funnel that comes into, say, a 50 to 30 to 5 to 1. But if you look at India, it is quite stark in terms of you have a 85, 5, 3, and 1. So largely people are there in the micro SMEs and are finding it difficult to transit to medium to small to large enterprises. I think that's where the role of Value Sutra Business Consulting and India SME Accelerator collectively is the larger agenda to ensure the transition from help them in this journey from becoming a micro to medium to small and large enterprises. I think so. We have curated certain programs We regularly do training, mentoring, consulting, and we also help in new business growth, existing business scale up and business optimization, etc., etc. So please do stay connected, and I think it's important to stay positive during such times. And
Yes.
I'm sure that the time will also, take care of the situation that we are currently in, and we all would sail smooth, hopefully by the end, till the end of the year. So thank you very much. Thank you
Thank
all
you,
for
Rohit.
joining, and thank you, Mr. Nitin Poddar. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, participants, members. Bye.
Where, I'll give some brief examples. Already ASEAN is highlighted.